I knew something was off the moment he laughed. One of those sharp metallic little laughs people use when they want everyone in the room to know they're the smartest one there. He aimed it straight at me. Called me analog. In front of the entire optimization division. Analog. Like I was a dusty cassette in a Spotify world. But the part that stuck wasn't the insult. It was the confidence. The blind, polished confidence of a man who had never once opened a system log yet believed he understood the architecture better than the person who built half of it. His name was Adrian Vale. 30 years old. Fresh MBA gloss still drying. A walking PowerPoint deck with a pulse. He grabbed a marker and started explaining my compliance lattice back to me, using a diagram he'd clearly stolen from somebody's post on corporate LinkedIn. The team chuckled. I didn't. I just sipped that bitter, burnt breakroom coffee I've been drinking for 19 years and listened to him rewrite history in real time. People think silence means surrender. It never has. Silence is storage. It's the place where I put everything I'm not ready to use yet. Before Adrian arrived, my life was consistent. Not glamorous. Not celebrated. But solid. Systems ran. Pipelines didn't hiccup. Compliance stayed off the company's back. I trained every intern, every new hire, every clueless executive's niece or nephew until they could at least tell a risk variable from a routing ID. Some of them still send me holiday cards. But Adrian wasn't here to learn. He wanted a purge. On day 4 he deleted my redundancy scaffolds, structures I built after our near catastrophe with federal compliance in 2018. When I asked if he wanted historical context before altering them, he actually patted my shoulder and said, "It's called agility, Warren. We need to evolve." Warren. That's me. I smiled. I didn't correct him, because I knew what this was. Not restructuring. Not optimization erasure. His second week he tried to retire an internal tool I built after the FinCorp breach, one that cross-checked external vendor shifts against payroll anomalies. The one that had saved us from 2 fraudulent disbursements. His reason? It makes the dashboard look cluttered. That was when I submitted the first quiet flag. Privately. Carefully. Respectfully. And that was when the CFO summoned me. Not to a meeting. Not to a small discussion. To a company-wide Zoom. 112 people. Cameras forced on. He smiled the way someone smiles before they turn a knife. Warren has undermined a promising leader's momentum, he said. We cannot foster a culture of inflexibility. He will apologize. I didn't blink. I unmuted and said, "Okay." That was all. They heard okay as obedience. What they missed was the hinge in my voice. The one that meant I had just switched modes. Adrian kept deleting. Kept stripping out checks he didn't understand. He labeled every system older than 5 years, archaeological debt. Like the place was a museum and he was the curator who came to throw out all the bones. He didn't even notice when his deletions exposed a vulnerability that allowed duplicate contractor IDs to slip through invoice limits. I documented everything. Screenshots. Logs. Side-by-side flows. He replied hours later. Appreciate the note. Let's stay solution-oriented. That was rich, coming from a man who thought Sandbox Environment was a browser extension. I escalated the issue through the secure back channel I helped build years ago. But hierarchy beats logic in places like this. And when the CFO discovered I'd escalated without going through Adrian first, he called another all-hands Zoom. Cameras on. Breath held. "Warren," he said, voice heavy with fake regret. "Your methods are obstructive. Unless you publicly apologize to leadership, you'll be removed from operational access." I said nothing. Just unmuted, repeated the same word. Understood. Not agreement. Preparation. After that call, I opened a drive I hadn't touched in years. An encrypted directory containing the earliest layers of the system back when I wasn't just an employee, but the original architect under my old consulting firm, Halden Bridge Systems. Buried in that archive was clause 14D.my clause. A clause that said if my role was terminated without due process, I retained exclusive rights to every derivative module I built independently: auditing shells, compliance scaffolds, vendor risk mappings, encryption routes. The bones. I owned the bones. For 19 years, no one noticed. That night, I started the exit sequence. I expired 3 internal license keys, graceful shutdowns, nothing alarming. Then prepped the resignation letter but left the bottom blank. There was something I needed to add later. Next came the checklist. Not a to-do list. A kill switch catalog. I revoked handshake rights from the core audit dashboard. Disabled Adrian's investor-ready sync view. Prepped archival transfers. Encrypted my logout timer so they looked like maintenance rotations. And then I unplugged a small, unmarked drive from beneath my desk. Inside it, the last complete copy of our compliance shadow logs to NO cloud pairing. No backups. Just mine. This wasn't revenge. It was insurance. The first failure hit the investor portal. A soft timeout. Then came the dashboard Adrian had been bragging about, his crown jewel, Project Helios. The tiles froze, then wiped to white. He'd hard-coded it to pull from a table only accessible through my legacy KUAT-NO key. No data. Legal notice next. A dormant vendor, Halden Bridge Systems, resurfaced in a renewal conflict. A junior attorney flagged IBY morning. Everyone knew something was wrong, but no one knew what. When I walked into HR to hand off my resignation, the receptionist asked if I was transferring departments. I just said, "Thank you," and left. The drizzle outside felt like punctuation. Inside the office, panic was blooming. Adrian strutted in like he owned the place, protein shake in hand, trying to act unfazed when he saw my empty desk. He muttered something smug at my chair. But the junior analyst nearby, her screen was frozen solid. 7:43 a.m. Engineering logged an unauthorized credential null. No fallback. No trace. At 8:12, someone finally noticed Halden Bridge Systems was listed as a primary licenser. 8:23, legal messaged the CFO. "Are you aware Warren is still the primary licenser for the core financial system?" The CFO didn't answer. He was too busy watching every investor critical graph collapse into blank tiles. 10:30. The emergency board meeting began. First slide, a red notification. Q3 audit trail not found. Adrian had wiped the regulatory log tree completely. No versions. No backups. No redundancy. The absence alone was grounds for investigation. They couldn't fake it. They couldn't regenerate it. Only one person alive had the encrypted archive. 11:12 a.m. I received an email from the CEO's assistant, a woman I'd worked with for years. "Warren, would you be open to a conversation?" I didn't reply. I just sat in the quiet glow of my laptop, realizing something they had forgotten a long time ago. Redundant doesn't mean replaceable. Not in systems, not in people, and certainly not in the foundations they stand on. I never went back. Not to the office. Not to the calls. Not to the systems I built. Some houses collapse loudly. Others fall apart quietly when the person who held them together finally walks away.